In 1962, a graduate student quietly stole every password on the world's first shared computer. His weapon was a printer. He asked the machine to print one file, the list of everyone's passwords. It obeyed. And just like that, digital identity was broken. Passwords were barely a year old. The very first thing history did with digital identity was steal it. That should have been a warning. Instead, we spent the next 60 years building all of modern technology on top of it. Every login you type, every account you own, every breach you read about traces back to an idea from 1961. To understand why identity now runs the entire digital world, you have to go back to a single, overloaded computer at MIT. In 1961, MIT switched on a system that many people could use at the very same time. That was the problem. One computer, many users, and everyone's files sitting together in a single shared space. A researcher named Fernando Corbató needed a way to keep each person's work separate from everyone else's. His solution was simple. Give each user a name and a secret word only they knew. The password was born. Notice what it was for. Not security, not defense, just tidiness, a way to keep one person's files from another's. Identity entered computing as a filing system. Nobody imagined it would one day guard banks, governments, and secrets. The cracks showed immediately. That student didn't break the computer. He simply asked it for the password list. The system had no idea who should see that file. It trusted the login. And the login was all he needed. This is the flaw that never left. A password doesn't prove who you are. It only proves you know a secret. And secrets leak, they get guessed, reused, fished, and printed. Anyone holding the secret simply becomes you. Corbató himself watched it grow into a monster. Decades later, he called the password, in his own word, a nightmare. Yet the nightmare spread everywhere, because as computers multiplied, every single one of them needed to know who you were. For a long time, we barely noticed the weakness, because computers lived safely inside buildings we controlled. So we defended the building. A wall around the network, a guarded gate. Everything trusted once it was inside. Security looked like a city, looked like a castle. Firewalls were the walls, the office was the keep, and outsiders stayed out. Inside that wall, identity felt like a formality. If you were on the network, you were already assumed to belong. It worked, as long as the wall was real, as long as the important things stayed inside one defensible place. But technology never sits still. And the wall we trusted was about to disappear completely. First came the internet, connecting the inside to the entire outside world through a single, permanent doorway. Then the cloud. Suddenly, a company's most important systems no longer lived in its building at all. They lived in data centers owned by someone else, reachable from anywhere, by anyone with the right login. Then laptops and phones walked out the door, checking email from cafes, airports, and living rooms. The jewel didn't stand you a little ministratic information to decisively dissolved until it's a difficult doesn't attend people uply. The wall didn't fall in a dramatic breach. It simply dissolved, until there was no inside and outside left to guard. And that raised a terrifying question. If there is no wall, what actually decides who gets in? The answer was the one thing that traveled with you everywhere. Not your location, not your device, your identity. Whoever could prove they were you could reach everything, from any corner of the planet, at any hour. So identity quietly stopped being a formality and became the real boundary of every system. Security people gave it a name. Identity is the new perimeter. The login became the wall. New defenses grew around it. Single sign-on to manage it, multi-factor to strengthen it, constant checks to verify it. A whole philosophy emerged called zero trust. Trust no one automatically. Verify the identity. Every time, everywhere. But attackers understood the shift before most companies did. If identity is the way in, then steal an identity. And the numbers are brutal. In recent breaches, stolen credentials were the single most common way attackers got inside. Not clever malware, not zero-day exploits, just a working username and password, used to walk straight through the front door. This is why modern hacks rarely look like breaking in. They look like logging in, calmly, as someone who belongs. A stolen identity doesn't trip alarms, because to the system, it isn't an intruder. It's a trusted user. Which means the hardest problem in security is no longer keeping people out. It is proving who someone really is. And it is about to get much larger, because people are no longer the only ones with identities. Every app, server, and script now carries its own identity to talk to every other. Machines have logins too. By recent counts, these machine identities outnumber human ones by more than 80 to 1. Soon, AI agents will act for us, each needing an identity of its own, each a new door to defend. Passwords, cloud, machines, AI. Every era of technology sits on the same quiet layer, the question of who you are. Every login, every breach, every system you touch runs on the identity layer. Follow along, and we'll make it make sense.